Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines.
President Donald Trump has said that Washington expects a complete ceasefire across the region, including between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. In a social media post, Trump urged all parties to remain committed to the peace process as negotiations continue following the signing of the US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei has said that he approved the Memorandum of Understanding with the United States, despite having reservations about it. In a statement, Khamenei said he gave permission after receiving assurances from Iranian officials that the country's rights would be protected, adding that future negotiations would not mean accepting U.S. demands. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has said that the 60-day period set out in the U.S.-Iran memorandum is now officially underway. Vance said negotiators are expected to begin technical talks in Switzerland within days, while stressing that any final agreement must guarantee free navigation through the Strait of Hormuz.
Pakistan has formally signed the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding as the official mediator between the United States and Iran, marking a significant diplomatic milestone in efforts to end regional tensions. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif endorsed the agreement after it had already been signed by US President Donald Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. According to the Prime Minister's office, the signing formalizes Pakistan's role as mediator in the understanding reached between Washington and Tehran.
Pakistan says US President Donald Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian have digitally signed an Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding aimed at ending the conflict involving the US, Israel, and Iran and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, in a statement, said both leaders endorsed the agreement, with Pakistan acting as mediator alongside Qatar. He said the MOU takes immediate effect and includes steps to halt hostilities and restore maritime flow through the key energy route. According to Sharif, the agreement outlines a broader framework for further negotiations on nuclear-related concerns and long-term peace, while formal discussions are expected to continue in Switzerland later this month. President Donald Trump has said that the newly signed Memorandum of Understanding with Iran has made America stronger and safer. In a social media post, Trump pointed to resumed oil flows, strong markets, and his claim that Iran will never obtain a nuclear weapon as key achievements of the agreement. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif talked to Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian over the phone, in which he welcomed the newly signed US-Iran agreement and called it a landmark deal that could help restore regional peace and support Iran's recovery. The Prime Minister also wished the Iranian side success in the forthcoming phase of negotiations and assures Pezeshkian of Islamabad's continued support to Tehran.
The US Department of Justice is reportedly investigating financial transactions linked to Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei as part of a broader probe into alleged money laundering and corruption. According to a Bloomberg News report, investigators are examining how entities associated with Khamenei may have built a global investment portfolio with exposure to major Wall Street institutions. The investigation is also reviewing the role of several US banks in transactions connected to firms reportedly overseen by Khamenei, with scrutiny focused on potential compliance and regulatory concerns.
The United States has read out a 14-point interim agreement with Iran aimed at halting hostilities and opening the Strait of Hormuz, paving the way for a 60-day negotiation period starting Friday in Switzerland. The document outlines an immediate ceasefire, mutual respect for sovereignty, and a phased end to military operations. It also proposes the gradual lifting of the U.S. naval blockade, restoration of maritime traffic, and a framework for Iran's safe commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. The agreement includes commitments to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, maintain existing nuclear status during talks, and establish a mechanism to resolve enrichment issues under international supervision. It also envisions sanctions relief, access to frozen Iranian assets, and potential economic reconstruction support. China has welcomed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran, urging all parties to fully respect their commitments under the agreement. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said the deal should be implemented in good faith to ensure lasting stability, particularly in global energy and maritime security. It emphasized the importance of safeguarding shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz, a key corridor for global oil trade. Beijing said the concerns of the international community must be considered to prevent further disruptions to global markets. Meanwhile, Iran's chief negotiator, Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf, says that the Strait of Hormuz will not return to pre-war conditions following a peace deal with the United States. Speaking on Iranian media, Kalibaf said Iran would still operate within international law and rules of navigation, but insisted the situation in the strategic waterway has fundamentally changed. He also referenced a reported US-Iran memorandum, saying $300 billion in investment has been allocated for Iran, including reconstruction funding. The US military has reportedly lifted its blockade of maritime traffic to Iranian ports following the implementation of the US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. The move opens the way for shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, although industry officials say a return to normal traffic levels could take time.
The first oil tankers have passed through the Strait of Hormuz following the signing of a US-Iran agreement aimed at ending months of conflict that disrupted global energy markets. 3 Saudi-flagged supertankers carrying approximately 6 million barrels of crude oil sailed through the strategic waterway just hours after US President Donald Trump signed the deal with Iran. However, concerns remain over wider regional stability. In Lebanon, fresh Israeli airstrikes were reported, raising questions about the durability of broader ceasefire efforts and the prospects for lasting peace across the region.
Pakistan has criticized India for using water infrastructure to gain strategic leverage, with Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar warning that weaponization of water would have serious consequences. In a recorded video message, Dar said that 17 projects on the Indus River system could give New Delhi what he called the tools for hydro-hegemony. He also urged respect for international treaties and cooperative management of shared water resources.
Ukraine has launched its largest drone attack on Moscow since the start of the war, sending nearly 200 drones toward the Russian capital in a major escalation of long-range strikes. According to Russian officials, air defense systems intercepted at least 194 drones, while reports indicate that Moscow's largest oil refinery was among the targets hit during the attack. The strike highlights Ukraine's growing capability to target strategic infrastructure deep inside Russian territory and comes amid continued fighting on multiple fronts. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced a comprehensive review of American troop deployments across Europe, signaling a possible reassessment of Washington's military footprint on the continent. Speaking at NATO headquarters in Brussels, Hegseth said the review could last up to 6 months and would include consultations with the US Congress. He also warned that the United States could withhold part of its NATO contributions if member states fail to meet their defense spending commitments, criticizing what he described as free-riding allies that rely heavily on American military support. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.